let's start by introducing yourself a little.
Thank you. Thanks, Shreya. I'm General Ajai Kumar Singh. I have served in the armed forces for about 40 years. And if you include the training period, then it's 44 years. So 44 years in uniform. And I retired as the Southern Army Commander, which incidentally was based in Pune. So Pune is very close to my heart. I spent good about 16, 18 months out here. And though I have retired, but I don't think I have retired. I have retired. So this with the armed forces, the rank always stays. So I'm still a lieutenant general. So that means I'm still continuing. This is my life's mission, that I'll continue working till my last breath.
Okay. So you were invited here for a social leadership development program. So I'd like to ask you a few questions based on that. So at the SLDP event today, you addressed young social leaders, and drawing from your military experience, what are the 3 most critical leadership qualities that you believe today's youth must acquire?
I think the first and the foremost is definitely the discipline. Unless and until you have discipline, it's very difficult to get on. So discipline is the one which forms the bedrock. So to the youth, I would definitely say that instill discipline. And the second most important thing is selfless service. If your self is involved, then it is something like a transactional relationship. It's like a commercial transaction. But if your self is not involved, then it is for a cause. And when you're working for a cause, I think then the divinity sort of also comes along, and people will come with you. They will partner with you, and you will be able to achieve your objectives. That's the second one. And the third most important thing is sacrifice. For a cause, you have to put in time, effort. So it's a sacrifice of your time. It's a sacrifice of your effort. I think if we have these 3 things, the discipline, the niswart kartavya, the selfless service, and the sense of sacrifice, I think anything and everything should be achieved.
Absolutely. Sir, I have one personal question for you. So how do you believe the importance of compassion and empathy is at such high stakes positions or in leadership, especially in the army?
Yeah.
Compassion and empathy. What?
I think it's a very important thing that you have asked, Shreya. Compassion, empathy is important in every walk and every aspect of life, and especially in the military, because military is to do with power. Military is to do with violence. Military is to do with destruction. And this is exactly where the compassion and empathy comes into. Unless and until you have compassion and empathy, I think a military would not be able to work. I always tell people that the armed forces, and especially in Indian context, we are not here to wage war. We are an army of peace. Okay, yes, sometimes you have to fight to establish peace. And that's why I rate the compassion, understanding others' viewpoint, and getting into somebody else's shoes and thinking, okay, this is what you need. And they are great stabilizing issues. The compassion, empathy will motivate. Compassion, empathy will empower. So that's why I think compassion and empathy is extremely important, and especially in army.
Yes. You said that we are always looking for peace, and this is World Peace University. So we are the biggest promoters of peace, I believe.
True.
Sir, if I may, can I ask you about Operation Sindoor?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So as a former General Officer Commanding in Chief of Southern Command, how do you view the strategic importance of recent operations like Operation Sindoor in India's evolving defense doctrine, and particularly in the context of cross-border terrorism?
Yeah, I think it's again a good question, and it's a very important question, especially in context of India, because I think it underscored a very important strategic shift. If you see the statement of our Honorable Prime Minister, he said very clearly that any act of terrorism would be considered as waging war. So which implies that we have, and second, he said that it's a pause. So that means the operations are still continuing. It's a pause. So if there is a terrorist attack, we would deal with it accordingly. So I would say it's a very, second is, it was a terrorist act. And India went only after the terrorist headquarters, training camps, and the terrorist infrastructure. It was a clinical strike. The 9 targets were selected primarily because they belong to the terrorist headquarter, infrastructure, and training. And it was clinical, making sure that there is absolute minimum collateral damage. And all 9 targets were destroyed. So precision. And we didn't go after and we said very clearly, if you see our DGMO, the Director General of Military Operations, gave a call to his counterpart in Pakistan and told him clearly and categorically that as far as we are concerned, we are done. There was a terror attack and we have, sort of responded to that terror attack. And we don't intend carrying it further. Like our Prime Minister has again said, this is not an era of war. Okay. So we said very clearly and we left it to them. They retaliated. They retaliated on our military targets. And when Pak retaliated on our military targets, that's the one we went after their military targets, because you have attacked. So we have a genuine cause to attack you. And you know what happened. We in just a matter of 88 hours, we got Pakistan onto its knees, where the Director General Military Operations called our DGMO and asked for cessation of war. So I think it's a great victory. But as I say, and being a military leader, I think you don't never underestimate your enemy. So it is okay. One round has gone in our favor, but we start preparing right now for the second round. So I think technology plays a very important part. This was again the third important lesson is the technological. We have to have an edge. And the fourth important shift is the Atmanirbharta. We cannot, as far as the cutting edge technology is concerned, as far as the military equipment is concerned, we cannot be dependent on the foreign countries. I think we have to have the armaments, the equipments, and the cutting edge technology indigenously. And that's where institutions like yours will have to play a very important part. So the users, us, the industry, the private industry, the public sector companies, and the academia and the research institutions have to come together to collaborate to make sure that Atmanirbharta becomes a reality.
Absolutely. Very well said. Could you share one moment in your life as in the army which changed your perspective on what leadership should be, or in high stakes situations, how important leadership is?
Yeah, I think that's again a very good question. Like I would say that in the Indian Armed Forces, leadership is most important in all armed forces, because in all other walks of life, for example, corporate leadership, okay, it's a profit and loss kind of a thing. But in armed forces, you fight to win. There are no runners-up in war. And that's why, and what makes the most vital and pivotal difference is the leadership. So Indian armed forces have always been known where our officers, our leadership have led from the front. So I think our leadership, young leadership, leading from the front, our middle level leadership, giving out the right directions, and our higher leadership, planning, and sort of giving the resources at that appropriate level. Coming on to my personal example, I think we have had large number of situations. Like I have, extensively operated in counterinsurgency and counter-terrorist operations. So there was an operation once where we had a specific information that there is a militant, and we sort of surrounded the cordon and had gone for a search. And when we started the search, there was a firefight, and in that firefight, one of the young student, was killed. So it was quite a big thing, because the loss of a person who's not involved is a very major thing. But it had happened. So at that time, I was the commanding officer of the unit. So I decided that it's very important to take out this militant and to establish it beyond a reasonable doubt that it is the militant who has sort of, because we were absolutely definite. I checked up and we had not opened fire. So it was very important. So I said, no, we have to make sure that we catch this militant and we eliminate this militant. So this operation lasted for good about 48 hours, and we surrounded that particular village, and we did a house entry operations. House entry operations is extremely complex and extremely risky, because now, the militant is inside the house, is waiting for you. You are the one who are exposing yourself, entering, to eliminate him. So this was a very important call as far as I was concerned, but I took this call because of the situation that we were in. And finally, we were able to enter the house. We were able to eliminate the house, the militants. And then we found out from his number of magazines and from his weapon that he is the one who had fired. And it was established beyond doubt that the civilian died because of the militant fire. Otherwise, this kind of a thing could cascade into a very major issue. So through this, we were able to avert a very major issue and yet gain good success, astounding success.
Absolutely. It's an amazing story. I mean, as civilians sitting here, we never know what's going on the border, truly. So you say that decision-making is important, split-second decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So has there ever been a moment where you took a decision and you weren't sure of how it would play out?
In fact, Shreya, most of the time when you take a decision, you are not very sure that how it is going to. So, but that is, as far as decision-making is concerned, one important factor is your training. That's very important, how you have been able to train. We are trained to take a split-second decision because there's no time. Otherwise, it is, you versus him. Who fires first, who acts first, I think he's the winner. So you have to take a split-second decision. So you have to be trained. So training becomes a very important part of decision-making. And the second is your exposure and your experience. The more you are exposed to varying kind of and different kind of a situation, a better leader you become. You'll be able to take a better decision. So I think what the most important thing in decision making is you have to be fearless. Unless and until, because if you are scared and if you have the fear factor in you, that clouds your judgment. And you can't afford to cloud your judgment.
Yeah, I think the decisions we take nowadays are so relaxed. Like there's no life or death situation. But I think
absolutely, you in an active situation, I can narrate you a very good incident. We were the first one to enter Baramulla in counter-insurgency, counter-terrorist, and by the time there were a large number of militants who were there in Baramulla. So when you go inside, and we had cordoned the place and we went inside. So as we were going inside, the field hospital, the medical people, they had established the MI room. They had put the stretchers. So we all went in looking at the stretchers. And, this thought was that possibly, one of us would come out in that, sort of stretcher. And when you go inside, the firefight started. And in a built-up area, you have no idea from where the bullet comes, and that firefight, that sound reverberates. So this is the situation. You don't know where the enemy is. Yeah. He is hiding. You are the one who exposing yourself and making a move. And this is you don't know from where the fire comes. So you operate in a very complex environment. And Indian armed forces have always operated and have made sure that there is a minimum collateral damage. Because we have made sure that there is hardly any collateral damage. So a militant possibly might escape, but we don't want that an innocent life gets lost.
Absolutely.
So it is the principle of using minimum force. That is what generally is applied. We have all the machine, we have all the weaponry. We can just raise everything to ground, but we use minimum force. That's the principle behind it.
Sir, I had one question for you. So, how has your training in the military, in the army, helped in your personal life as a civilian now that you retired?
Yeah, I think everything. If you ask any armed forces officer who's even retired after a short stint, like the short service commission, they do service for 5 years, and you ask anybody across the board, and they will always say that it is the training in the armed forces that has prepared them for facing any challenges. And what are those important changes and those important attributes that you learn? I'll again come back to the discipline is the first and the foremost. Taking split-second decision, training hard. So they say the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war.
Yeah.
So you are exposed to large number of situations, so that you are able to take a split second call. And third is the experiential knowledge. So whatever we are learning, we are constantly applying ourselves. And fourth is, you have to be ahead as far as the technology is concerned. So because today the technology is making a major impact in all walks of life, and more so also in the armed forces. And fourth is this important aspect that there is no runner-up. So there is no laxity. There is no room for any laxity. So you have to find an answer. You have to find, and you have to deal with any kind of a situation. So when you are equipped with all such attributes, then I think any situation you put an army officer, he would always come on tops.
Sir, I'm a volleyball player.
So great.
I understand discipline and making split-second decisions on a lot lower scale, of course.
But it's the same. It's important, very important. That's why sports also have a very major thing in the army.
As someone who has witnessed India's transformation over decades of service, what is your vision for the role of socially conscious youth in building India of 2047? And what message would you like to leave with the SLDP participants?
I think that's a very important question because it is so relevant. It is the crux, I would say, of what has happened today in the inaugural session of the SLDP. I think the most important thing that I would leave is we must realize and recognize that we are a citizen of this country. Unfortunately, most of us don't realize that. And if you are a citizen of the country, then you are you enjoy certain fundamental rights. But along with the fundamental rights, like I said, they come bundled with fundamental duties. I think all of us must read our constitution. That's the most important thing. That's the most important document. And the second, we must call out these fundamental duties. We must be conscious of these fundamental duties and our roles and responsibility. If we do that, everybody wants a platform, big platform to make a difference. Big or small, platform is not important to make a difference. You can make a difference wherever you are. And I think one of the most important thing that I would like to tell the youth is the transformation always start with you first. So I think you transform yourself. So if each of the youth is able to transform himself, I think the entire country would be transformed. It's as simple as that. So I think honesty, integrity, discipline, values, ethics, knowledge, wisdom are most important. And most important, somebody explained me what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. So knowledge is an acquired knowledge. You read a book, you become knowledgeable. And you hear something, you hear from somebody, it becomes knowledge. But wisdom comes only when you apply that knowledge.
Absolutely.
Application of that knowledge, you gain wisdom. When you do it with your own two hands, then it creates. So wisdom is always much more important. So wisdom again becomes a very important part. I think it's a beautifully designed program. And I think this is the first time I've heard that this kind of a program, and this is the fourth. I think it's fabulous. I must compliment Dr. Vishnath Karat for this kind of a path-breaking initiative. And I very strongly urge everyone to take a leaf and implement the same across the board.
This is the last question. What advice would you give to future leaders of India who wish to combine service with impact?
I think this is again a very important issue because when we see the leaders, I think everyone is, a corporate leader wants to maximize profit. Maybe a sports leader want to, get on that he must always win. I think it's very, very important. Service is the most important thing. When you serve, and when you serve selflessly. In service also, if I am serving, because I would be recognized. Again, it is a transactional relationship. Service is it is unfettered. It is unbridled. So when you serve with selflessness, then the impact would be huge. It would be tremendous. And it's like Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, the entire crux of Bhagavad Gita can be sort of disseminated in just two words: Niswarth Kartavya, selfless service. So if you can do selfless service, impact, the entire thing would sort of get together to make sure that whatever you want to achieve, you are able to achieve. So I would like to tell the leadership that serve. I think service becomes very important, and selfless service is the most important thing. Just don't look at yourself. You should not be the locus. You should not be the focus. The pride, the position, the money, the wealth, the name is insignificant. Everything would remain here. What is going to go is what you are able to contribute, what legacy you leave behind. I think if they work to leave a legacy behind, a positive, so that the others who are coming behind them get motivated, I think that's the best thing a leader can do today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for allowing me to interview you.